every sales rep remembers their first year, the excitement, the nerves, and for most reps, the wall. Because somewhere in that first year, almost every rep hits the same moment. They're working hard, following the script, hitting the phones, and still losing deals they thought were sure things. Today, we're breaking down what separates the reps who break through that wall from the ones who quit, and it comes down to one shift almost nobody teaches you early enough. Here's the pattern. New reps are taught product, features, specs, pricing tiers. They walk into calls loaded with information, ready to explain everything their product does. And it doesn't work. Not because the information is wrong, but because buyers don't buy information. They buy outcomes. And there's a well-documented reason why this trips up almost every new rep. It's called the curse of knowledge. Once you know your product inside and out, it's almost impossible to see it the way a stranger does. Someone who doesn't care about your features, only about their problem. So reps talk and buyers tune out. This is where most reps hit a ceiling. They assume the fix is talking louder, faster, or with more energy, more enthusiasm, more pitching. But here's the counterintuitive part. The reps who break through don't talk more. They talk less. And they ask a very specific kind of question, one most reps skip entirely. We'll get to exactly what that question is in a minute. But first, let's talk about why value gets misunderstood almost universally in sales training. Ask 10 reps what providing value means, and you'll get 10 different answers. Free trials, extra features, discounts, a killer demo. But none of those are value, those are tactics. Real value has one definition that matters. It's the gap between what a prospect's life looks like now and what it looks like after your product solves their problem, multiplied by how much they actually feel that gap. That's it. Value isn't what you say your product does, it's what the buyer believes changes for them. And here's the twist. Most reps never find that gap because they never ask the right question to uncover it. This is the moment that turns a struggling rep into a top performer. It usually happens the same way. A rep is on a call, frustrated, tired of pitching into silence, and instead of explaining the product one more time, they ask something different. What does this problem actually cost you right now? Not in a scripted way, genuinely curious. And the buyer starts talking. Really talking. About missed deadlines, about the team's frustration, about the number they've been avoiding saying out loud. And that's when it clicks. The rep realizes, I wasn't supposed to be selling. I was supposed to be listening, long enough for them to sell themselves. This isn't just a nice story, it's backed by how buying decisions actually get made. Research on B2B buying behavior consistently shows the same pattern. Deals rarely die because of price. They die because the buyer never felt the cost of staying the same was bigger than the cost of change. Reps who lead with features are asking buyers to imagine value. Reps who lead with cost of inaction are showing buyers value they already feel. One is a guess, the other is math the buyer does themselves. So what does this look like in practice? Here's the shift, step by step. Instead of opening with your product, open with their problem. Ask what it's costing them, in time, money, stress, whatever's real for them. Then stay quiet. Let them answer fully. Most reps interrupt here because silence feels uncomfortable. Don't. The silence is doing the work. Once they've named the cost in their own words, now you introduce your product. Not as a pitch, but as the bridge between where they are and where they said they want to be. Same product, same features. Completely different conversation. Here's the part that surprises new reps the most. This approach doesn't just close more deals, it closes them faster. Why? Because when a buyer identifies their own cost, they've already convinced themselves internally. You're not persuading anymore. You're confirming a decision they've basically already made. Objections drop too, because most objections, it's too expensive. We need to think about it, aren't really about your product. They're a sign the value gap was never made real in the first place. This is why the aha moment hits so hard for reps who experience it. It's not just a new skill, it reframes the entire job. Selling stops feeling like convincing someone to want something they don't want. It starts feeling like helping someone see something that was already true, a problem they were living with, finally named out loud. And once a rep sees that difference, they can't unsee it. Every call afterward looks different. It also changes the numbers. Reps who master this shift tend to see 3 things happen at once. Shorter sales cycles because urgency comes from the buyer, not the rep. Fewer discount requests because the value was established before the price was. And higher close rates because the deals in the pipeline are the ones that were actually real to begin with. None of this requires a better product. It requires a better question asked earlier, followed by a real silence. Now here's where it gets tricky, because this only works if the curiosity is genuine. Buyers can tell the difference between a rep asking, "What's this costing you?" as a script line versus a rep who actually wants to understand their situation. The words are the same. The intent isn't. That's why the reps who make this shift permanent aren't performing empathy. They've actually gotten curious about people's problems, which ironically is a much easier way to sell than trying to be persuasive. So if you're early in your sales career and you feel like you're hitting that wall, pitching hard, working hard, and still losing deals, this is usually the fix. Stop leading with your product, start leading with their problem, ask what it's costing them, then stop talking and let them tell you. The reps who make that switch don't just get better at selling, they stop dreading the job because the pressure to perform gets replaced by simple curiosity. So here's the real question. Have you had this moment yet? That call where something shifted and selling suddenly felt different? Drop it in the comments. What was the moment it clicked for you, or what's still holding you back from it? If this helped reframe how you think about value, hit like and subscribe for more breakdowns on the tactics and turning points that actually move the needle in sales.